So you're running a business. You look at the cloud and you just think, where do I even start? If that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. We're going to walk through a new framework that lays out a really clear, actionable roadmap to the cloud. And let's just kick things off with the big question, right? Do you forget that feeling that there's this huge technological shift happening and maybe, just maybe, your business is getting left in the dust? Well, you are not alone. This feeling is at the heart of what we call the cloud paradox. The opportunity is absolutely massive, but so is the hesitation to jump in. And here's the thing about that paradox. Small and medium-sized businesses, SMEs, they are the engine of our economy. They're the innovators. But while the big corporations have been charging full steam ahead into the cloud, a lot of smaller businesses are holding back, worried about the complexity, the cost, and the security. And you know what? Those feelings are 100% valid. The concerns are real, and for a lot of business owners, they build up into this giant wall of worry. So let's break down the 4 biggest bricks in that wall, the fears that stop a cloud migration dead in its tracks. First up, interoperability. This is that huge, fundamental question of, okay, I've got my servers, my apps, my databases. How on earth is all of that supposed to map onto this brand new cloud environment? It feels like a massive technical puzzle right from the get-go. Then, of course, comes the big one, security. Business owners are naturally protective of their company's data. I mean, it's your lifeblood. So there's this nagging fear. If I put my sensitive information out there, is it really safe? And honestly, this is one of the top reasons people hesitate. And we got to talk about the money. Most businesses are used to buying servers outright. It's a capital expense. But the cloud's whole pay-as-you-go model can feel, unpredictable. The fear is you'll get locked into some confusing, expensive contract that ends up costing you more in the long run. And finally, there's the skills gap. You might be looking at your own IT team and thinking, they don't know the first thing about cloud stuff. And they might be worried too, seeing it as this huge risk that could even jeopardize their jobs if it all goes sideways. Okay, so how do we start knocking down that wall of worry? Well, let's start with that big security fear. The cloud works on what's called a shared responsibility model. Think of it like this. The provider, say Amazon or Google, is responsible for the security of the cloud. That's the physical buildings, the hardware, the network. But you, the customer, are responsible for security in the cloud. That means managing your data, your users, and who has access. It's a partnership. So, knowing what the fears are, the real question becomes, how do we get past them? This is where we pivot from the problems to the solution. And that solution is a roadmap, a framework built specifically to help you navigate these exact challenges. And when you look at it from a high level, this framework is actually pretty simple. The entire journey gets broken down into 3 totally manageable stages. You've got pre-migration, which is all about planning, then the migration itself, where you do the move, and finally, post-migration, where you fine-tune everything for the future. See? It's not one giant, scary leap. It's a series of smart, deliberate steps. And this is what makes this particular framework such a game changer for smaller businesses. When you stack it up against other models out there, you can see it's the only one that really ticks all the boxes, from checking if it's feasible to mapping your services, all the way to that absolutely crucial post-migration phase, which, believe it or not, most other frameworks just ignore. So let's dive into that first stage, pre-migration. This is the homework phase. It's all about planning, preparing, and assessing what you have. Honestly, getting this part right makes everything that follows so much smoother. So one of the first big decisions you have to make is your service model. The easiest way to think about it is like making a pizza. Infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, is like the cloud provider gives you the kitchen and the oven, but you bring your own dough and toppings. Platform as a service, PaaS, is where they provide the oven and the dough. You just handle the toppings. And software as a service, SaaS, is like just ordering a finished pizza delivered to your door. Each one gives you a different level of control and responsibility. Once you know what kind of pizza you want, it's time to pick a provider. And this is about way more than just the price tag. You've got to ask the tough questions. What are all the services they offer? Are they a credible, stable company? What do the contracts really say? And what happens when things go wrong? What kind of support can you expect? Okay, so you've got a solid plan. Now for the fun part, the active migration. This is where things get technical, but because of the framework, it all stays logical and clear. The move itself really just boils down to 3 main actions. First, you back up everything you're going to move, your data, your apps, all of it. Step 2, you build out your new home in the cloud, setting up all the virtual servers and networking. And finally, you move your stuff in by restoring those backups into your new environment. Now, this is so important. The migration is not done just because the data is moved. You don't just flip the switch and hope for the best. Before you go live, you hit the post-migration stage. This is your final check. You implement all your new security rules, you set up automatic backups, you turn on monitoring to see how everything's running, and then you test, and test again to make sure it all works perfectly. And that brings us to the final, and let's be honest, the most exciting part of this whole thing. See, the goal isn't just to get to the cloud. The goal is to thrive in the cloud and use it to grow your business. So after all that planning, all that work, all that testing, you finally get to the go live moment. This is it. This is when you officially reroute your business traffic away from your old systems and point it to its powerful new home in the cloud. It's a huge milestone. But the work isn't over, and that's actually the cool part. The cloud isn't static, it's a dynamic environment. True success comes from getting into this continuous cycle of improvement. You monitor how things are running, you optimize for better performance and lower costs, you upgrade when you need to, and you deploy those improvements. It's a living system. So what's the payoff for all this? Let's talk real benefits. This number, that's the 11 nines of durability that a major service like Amazon S3 is designed for. What does that actually mean? It means your data is ridiculously, mind-bogglingly safe. For most businesses to achieve that level of reliability on their own, well, it's pretty much impossible. And that brings us right back to the financial argument. By moving to the cloud, you stop making huge, risky capital investments, buying expensive servers that will be outdated in a few years, and you shift to a predictable, scalable operational cost. This frees up so much capital that you can pump right back into growing your actual business. So here's the real takeaway. Migrating to the cloud, it's not just an IT project. It's a business strategy. It's a tool that gives you agility, scalability, and the power to innovate. So the only question left, really, is the one on your screen. What will you build with it?